We love the name of your podcast.
Yes. Thank you. It's very apropos in today's world, right?
Yeah, right.
Yes. Okay, so first and foremost, she's all over the place. Where in the world are you today?
Well, since JB has the more entertaining backdrop, I'll let him start.
Well,
Let me guess. You're in Hidden Hills.
that is a really great guess. I am not, but I have friends that live in Hidden Hills. I'm actually in Paso Robles in more northerly California today. We're shooting some behind the scenes stuff for another film that Ross and I are making next year. So I had to fly out here for this with my beautiful background of horses and everything. So that's where I am.
Lovely.
Yep.
Lovely. Lovely. Lovely.
I am in the dark room of Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Awesome. I'm visiting family in Detroit right now. I have a condo in New York. I live in LA and New York. Okay. Torfoot Entertainment Group. It's an award-winning film, television, and digital content production company founded by Johnathan Brownlee. And he's produced 3 Days in August, PUPPETMASTER, The Standoff at Sparrow Creek, and Decoding Annie Parker. In addition, we have a jam-packed episode for you today because we have an Emmy Award-winning producer, casting director, Ross Meyerson, Damages, Nurse Jackie, Rescue Me, and currently he's casting and working on DEXTER and Resurrection. So, gentlemen, thank you for your time and joining me. How are you?
So I did found Torfoot Films a bunch of years ago, and then recently Ross and I joined forces like Wonder Twin Powers, Activate, and founded Torfoot Entertainment Group together. So we're combining forces now.
This is lovely. And when did this start?
Oh, we've known each other for about a year, Ross, a little over a year.
Yeah, I think we tied the knot about 8 months ago, maybe.
Yeah. You have to date a little bit before you know. But now we're in the relationship, and so far so good.
Yeah. So when people go to the IMDb Pro and they see your body of work as individuals, and then in going into 2025 and with the technology and being producers and filmmakers and creatives and wearing multiple hats. I mean, you just don't have to be an actor or a producer or a director. We have a lot of entrepreneurs on the show. So adding any value of some strategic moves you've made along the way to blast off to what you're about to do. I mean, it's just so exciting to know about and to see, all the projects you've produced, and then the casting, and then, all the experiences, which we don't have time for today. But how do we come together and pivot and shift, propelling forward to, your first production is going to be the Yeti. So we're going to get into that in a moment. But, coming together and meeting and deciding we're going to join forces and shake up the industry and do something unique. So any thoughts on that and advice and valuable information would be great.
Yeah, I would say it would be pretentious of us to say we're doing anything unique. I think there's a lot of talented creators in the world. For us, it's finding a like-minded people in this world of entertainment that you kind of see, you have the same vision of what kind of things you want to work on, and what in life, taste is a big part of entertainment. Two people can watch the same movie, two people can look at the same actor and have totally different perspectives on it. And I'm not saying that every day that JB and I talk about something, we're like, oh yeah, we agree on every single thing. But for the most part, it's like when you look at, projects and you look at scripts and you read things and, so I think that's what the thing that drew us together.
Mm. Wonderful. Wonderful. So beautifully said. And then, so speaking of taste and diving in, so you're doing something, shooting in New York. It's going to be called the Yeti. And tell us about the Yeti.
Yeah, the Yeti is a really, it's a classic creature feature. So it's going to feel very much like the old Universal monster films, like Frankenstein and the Mummy and the Invisible Man and the werewolf. And the Yeti is one of those creatures that there's really not a definitive film about the Yeti, and it's so a very good friend of mine, a guy named Gallerano, who's the co-writer, co-director of this, and Will, Gene and I had made a film a few years ago called Occupy Texas, and we were looking for something to do. And, one of the things that Ross and I both do really well is we do creative stuff, but there's also, show business, right? So we really were looking for something that would be really marketable in the space right now. And creature feature like this that takes place sort of in the period piece we thought would be, really good in the marketplace. And that's turned out to be very true. We have so much interest in this film already. So when we go to shoot this in January and February, really be set for a solid launch and release. But that was really kind of, would we have said 10 years ago, oh yeah, we're going to make a Yeti film? Well, the right one came along. The script is really great, which is where it all starts from. And again, this aesthetic of doing things really practically and in camera was very interesting to us. And so, Ross and I have both tapped into our networks. We've got some of the greatest creature makers on the planet, guys that have worked on Ghostbusters and Predator and Jurassic World, or building our Yeti. And we've got great stunt teams to help us do all the gags. So it's going to be a really fun shoot. And we think the audience will just really soak it in.
Yeah, wonderful. And then how many shoot dates will you have in New York?
We're scheduled to shoot 20 days. It's mostly on a stage, a couple of days on locations, but that'll also really add to the visual aesthetic of the film. We're shooting in large format and anamorphic lenses, which again is the sort of same chemistry that those big creature features in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They were all part of that.
And what are you going to shoot it on?
We're shooting on a stage, but we're shooting on RELF with anamorphic lenses. So again, that sort of big picture CinemaScope look.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I saw the effects department. Some of them have. You mentioned Frankenstein. Some of they worked on Ghostbusters, the classics. So you really have the top tier quality people of the industry on the inside. So people are going to expect to see something magnificent, I'm sure. How wonderful. Yeah, and then so what about post-production? Where will you house the post-production?
Well, right now we are scheduled to post in Buffalo, New York, in the same place. But we've been talking to other companies around the globe, so stay tuned. We'll let you know soon.
Yeah, because I heard that when you do post-production in California, there's this tax incentive rebate of 20%. So I thought that's really cool for Hollywood and California for they're wanting entertainment people to keep the post-production in-house in California.
And the same thing in Buffalo, and their tax incentive is actually a little higher. So.
Oh, really? So, Mr. Brooklyn, come on. So,
Brooklyn.
yeah, are you Brooklyn full time, or do you go to California too? How is it for you? Because we don't have the moments, of what was, but where we are now with casting, and how is the business for you now? What are some attributes that you really like about it, and what's functional for you?
Like everyone else in life, how you spend your day is really important, or it should be. And you spend a lot of time trying to get to that point. And lucky for me, I'm at a point now where, the projects that I work on that end of the thing are with people that I like, and, and with good scripts. It's like, it's really exciting to wake up on any end, on the producing end, and read a script that next thing you know, you're done, like you're start to finish. Is when you look at page 10 and you're like, wow, I'm only on page 10. You kind of start to know, and I'm, like I said, I'm lucky enough to get scripts, for projects that I work on that are just, really enjoyable to read. As far as the industry, and where that's at, it's, there's still work out there. It's just harder, and the industry's trying to right itself, and they're, after the strikes and trying to figure itself out, and hopefully, that there's a saying that we're supposed to survive till 25, and then other day I heard now we have it's something like trying to stick till 26, and but I think no one could ever predict the climate of the industry, and it hopefully it's headed in the right direction.
Well, I think it sounds, and from a zoomed out lens, speaking of Zoom, it's very exciting. And as creatives, we get to have this blank slate and this open mind to pivot and shift, because that's a part of our industry. And what keeps us thriving is raw, vulnerable, authentic humans and creative. So we're on the last question here. So,
Yep.
from both of you, I would just love to hear, to add value. Like I've directed some short films, produced some, a scripted series through SAG Media, new contracts, all voiceover acting, all that jazz. So like wearing all the hats and showing up. So for the person tuning in, who is a producer, okay, so one or two nuts and bolts must do as a producer, and then for a casting director, this will be to the actor. Can the actors contact you? What's your protocol of being approached and seeing these self recordings that we're doing nowadays? So I would love to hear the thoughts on those for the person tuning in, for a producer, and then for the actor connecting with the casting director.
So ask that question again.
Sure.
I think JB, just what are the anecdotes for, like, if you want to go out and produce, what
in 2025 and going into 2025.
So I always say, people are like, I'm a screenwriter, or I'm a producer, or I'm a director. And I say, so can I see what you've produced or directed? You really have to just go out and do it. Right. Sitting around in a coffee shop waiting for somebody to drop $5 million into your lap is not a good strategy. We always say hope is not a strategy, and producers have to produce. And so you need to figure out a way to make something that can be your calling card, whether it's, through the bank of Visa, make something contained, make something in one location, make something with great actors that when people look at it, they're like, this person knows how to do this. So maybe we will give them some money next time. But sitting around thinking that you're going to make your first film is going to be $5 million and someone's going to give you that, that's not really a good strategy. You really have to start producing stuff that people can see.
Psychological hack 101. There you go. Don't live for the illusion. Cut the hack and get to work in action. Love that.
Right.
Thank you, Johnathan.
Yeah. And from keeping in touch with me, there's honestly, just to be straightforward, there's millions and millions and millions of actors out there, and I try my best to open up my door, but the best way to keep, to show me what you're doing is just to do. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, either at Torfoot Entertainment Group or at my personal handle, Mr. Meyerson, they can do that. I can't say that I'm going to, I don't have the time. There's not enough time to follow everyone back and correspond, but they can see what I'm doing and what I'm up to. And honestly, my feeling is, as JB says, if you're out there and you're creating, I will find you.
Chills. Feel that. All right.
Cool.
People are hearing this and receiving it, and going into 2025, you're thriving. I appreciate you joining me on She's All Over the Place. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to the projects that you're both creating. Thank you so much.
I love it. For having us on.